Today's September 8th, 2021. I'm Centurion 19, decade 7 plus 8 years. I just caught on public access, CUNY TV, I don't even know, they call themselves cosmologists. This is something like, I've just discovered that there are people that actually do this for a living. I mean, I have not been exposed to this. This level of human doesn't exist in New York City anywhere in my proximity since the day I was born. There's nobody who speaks quantum realm, religion, any of that stuff. I get the dumb, fucking useless TV characters that are like Wendy Williams, Tamara Hall, let's see, Drew Barrymore was on this morning. I mean, the dumbest of the dumb entertainers, like with the most trivial shit of least importance, is what they tell on the Vision normally. Today I caught something that actually piques my interest, but it makes me so mad as hell. So I listened to everything that they said. I paused it. I'll go back over it so this way I have a parlay overlay. But my whole thing is, you've got this one guy who looks like my dad's friend Joe, who for millennia were not allowed into sacred chambers ever. Now all of a sudden they get this little chicken nugget, him and others, of like an opportunity that they seize like squirrels with one acorn nut, and then they run back to their parliamentary tricks and people with tricks, and then they go bury the acorn nut, and then they just like sit there like misers, like trying to come up with calculating and like throwing in more exponential problems. Do you understand that in the virus, the study of the viral nature of the universe, one, universe means one. UNI by anagram is of one, and then it's a verse. Multiverse is multiple. There is an electronic weight of all anagram and all telegram property. So just by taking the time, selfishly, to go and investigate and try to tabulate some alternate theory against those that already know, and already know that multiverse is a effing problem unless you take it off of the one universal truth that then needs, let's just say, apostles, an apothecary to chemically cleanse the brain disease of like, we can all do it. No, you can't. You've proven yourself that you can't. Welcome to the 20th century, where everything is fucked up. There's an electronic gated weight to everything that has and takes electricity. I am in a void noid between a nucleus. If the non-plasmatic wall is the cellular wall of a plant with a membrane, that would be the calculation of the wall behind me. If just outside of my body there's a cellular animal protein or lipid wall, lipid being anagram telegram in telekinesis, there is a cavity of a noid void in between the cell wall plus membrane and my own membrane. That by itself has an electronic weight, and then it carries electronic weight. Sometimes my cell phone via GPS has a weight, a metric weight that is heavier and hotter than at other times. It's the electronic distribution, because you can send electrons through a totally separate system, unbeknownst to some of the theorists and polygamists, and it just offsets in paradox and parallelogram the concourse in the void and the noid and how things are metrically weighted. So with there being planetary weight that is not being distributed because of interferons, is what I call them, because it's interference. So they're throwing different tardigrades into a pore on the nose, so it has a different biological signature at such a nanosphere. But then it gives somebody an advantage that the signature changed, so now there has to be an investigatory process started. I mean, they are so finite on the details for which they try to like progress themselves. It is absolutely disgusting and embarrassing. I really, really hate this level of humans. Their electronic weight, might I add, since they've weighted themselves, there's a zodiac calculated to a degree of certainty of either 0 or 100%. Whichever one turns you on and turns you off, it's either a 1 or a 0. To that degree of certainty, it's zodiac, and it's cosmological, astrological, and anatomical. All three of them intertwined with one another. But yet, for some reason, there's socio-political and socio-economic games that becomes a pathological problem, which is what this COVID and this virus is. It's a weighted issue. There are some weights on this planet that are totally irrelevant and should have never been in zodiac, astrological, cosmological, and anatomical. There are certain anatomical appearances that should have never happened, but because you switch to this multiverse where now 5 scientists who are really super genius get to say something and try their own theories, you created such a electronic distribution change that is so catastrophic, especially in my particular area where I'm being disintegrated and I'm having my electrolytes and all sorts of stuff, because now I can't even tell who has my area security, because now my habitat has been infested by multiverse. Now the industry, now the money, now the schedule, now the timing, now they learn computers, now they learn this. So now nothing in my sacredness is actually protected. And I am having such horrific biological changes that I can't even heal myself. Not by my face, not by, I had a tumor that came out of nowhere right here. And I don't have a qualified doctor because they all look like something in the category of Tamra Hall or, I don't know, Jay-Z or one of the superstars. Does anybody know that there is a chick by the name of Jennifer Lopez, dark skin, and she has a mother by the name of Lourdes who's running something in New York? Why are these foundations allowed to be started? Why are there combat miseducation, combat cancer, why are you giving these things that are in an illegal occupation combat ready purpose and foundational money? I'm just curious, all area dumb, fucking, and useless. Let's go back to physics, shall we? Less controversial, isn't it?
Two of the ways to generate an infinite number of universes, or a very large number of universes, are one through eternal chaotic inflation, and another very different.
So inflation, so it has nothing to do with money, it has everything to do with something totally complex that they don't teach in every day. And they don't want you to know because we don't want more bioterrorism. Nobody's opening the door for you to walk through. In fact, all the doors are fucking slammed like they are for me, and we want to burn all the doors. Like at Monsters, Inc.? Yeah, like that.
So that's where you run into this trouble
where
That's a
the
Disney,
internal
Pixar,
solution
DreamWorks,
generates many copies of
whatever.
memory and
Pixelation
some
cartoon, but
so
it's a
I'm very much
CGI
critical
computer generate.
of the multiverse with all the measure problems, but certain questions just don't have answers. And maybe that's okay. And it's actually convinced me that maybe I should be a little bit more open-minded about the multiverse to the extent where maybe there's enough symmetry. If there's enough symmetry where it doesn't...
See, I listen and I weight his words to try to figure out cognitively at what level he's at, and I'm willing to sit and listen. What I'm not willing to do is to put my name to anything that could go virally in the wrong direction, which is the problem with philosophical and physician and physics with the anatomy and this new viral bioengineered system, which people get really confused.
Where it doesn't matter which copy you are, then you should be fine.
So integrating it all together, what's your probability, not the quantum probability, but the macroscopic normal probability that there is indeed a multiverse?
Okay, I guess I'd have to say 10%.
Oh.
And that's like a million
10%, because it's a 1 or a 0. We turn you on, we turn you off. Nobody gives a shit more than that.
I like
I have electronic weights that are all out of distribution and ratio. They're not even working in irrational realm. They're working in a ratio realm at a definitive, finite, it's off. And they're purposely perpetuating it by confusing everybody with anagram and words.
That provided the scientific mechanism for generating multiple universes. But does Alan also worry about the measure problem?
Okay, how did we get to multiverse? Well, let's see. We started with there's one universe, there's one set of metrics, there's one principle, there's one set of one mother of nature, one father of time. We were good. One mother, one father, we knew who they were. They were already signed, sealed, and delivered. And then all of a sudden, all hell broke out because people don't like... And then now all of a sudden we have a multiverse with unlimited potential and everybody going in all the wrong directions with this free speech and this free market. That's why we have the freedom to target you with disease and degenerative whatever to take you out of the market faster so we can repair going back to a one universe where it's actually controllable, sustainable, and predictable, and it's a healthier for the planet, for the system, for the big old nuclear reactor nobody talks about, by the way. They get stuck in the sociopathic and economy echo chamber of hearing themselves talk.
The basic issue here is that most versions of inflation have the property that once inflation starts, it never stops. And that's what's
I like this gentleman. I like the words that he used.
And that leads to a very difficult problem of defining probabilities. Anything that is allowed by the laws of physics will happen ultimately.
That word probability really scares me with this version of humans and what I've experienced thus far, by the way, at Inside Systems, when they ruin so bad that the electric fuse of humans pops and we no longer have to wear skin. I found that one out.
An infinite number of times, so to say that something is more common than something else, you're comparing infinities, and there's no unique way of doing that. So that has led many of us to be worried about this question of probabilities, and we've been exploring, I should say, different recipes for how to regularize the infinities.
The problem is the recipe cards and your constituents that you would join in the conversation with, because some of them are not allowed to have conversations with you. And you used to know that. I just don't know who has some pineal gland law interference between the Temple Mount with all this new radio wave frequency and turning the dial and changing the script at like executive movie producers.
To give rules for how to compare one infinity with another. And in order to talk about such things, we really do need to talk about not solely what happens physically, but we need to talk about what we expect observers
I'm in
to say.
Bayside Station,
That's what
Bayside,
we
New
always
York.
predict,
New York,
what we would say.
11361.
So the observer
The
enters,
USA. They
by
call it North
basically
America.
picking out
I hate
parts
it
of this
here. I've hated it
multiverse,
ever since the
which
day
is
I
where observers live,
arrived
and we have
through
to
human
condition our
whatever.
probabilities on those observers. We have to ask, what's the most probable thing for an observer
Double
to say?
L.
And the one beauty of the multiverse here is that the set is infinite to start with, so no matter how much you narrow it, it's still infinite. So I think the least controversial thing is that if
I can't listen to any more of him. It's September 8th, 2021. This is the conversation that just pisses me off because I know that what happens is he has good intent at some level, and then he's got that ego part that wants credit for it in every mention ever, and then it becomes a political campaign movement, and then it becomes diarrhea of the mouth, and everything gets ruined.
Been that there are. Bad news is that those things haven't shown up, so which doesn't mean the multiverse is not true, but it just is hard. You have
What
to
are
get
some
lucky.
of those? I'd really be interested.
Bubble universes can collide, and and that in our universe, if everything went right, would literally look like a kind of sphere, that a bruise on the microwave background radiation that we can look for. So it tells us
Microwave
kind of
radiation.
what
Whoa,
the
hold on. Different kind
density
of
and temperature of the universe looked like at one very early time. So we have this
volcanics.
snapshot. But if this other bubble ran into ours, it would perturb that in some region, and that region would look like a kind of disk on the sky. When they look out, they'd see.
Oh, you mean like
well,
the
over
sun,
there, it's a little
or
bit
what we
warmer
call
than
the
it
sun
ought
at the
to be.
moment?
Is that generally accepted?
Or the
that
moon.
that type of imprint would be an indication of a separate universe?
I think among people who understand the argument,
Here's the problem. They don't understand the argument. They go off of the professionals, and universe means one. So if you're going to talk about it as one, and it encompasses a second sphere, and you have two spheres in one universe, fine. That's a universe. That's your definite and your definitive. But to give them a possibility of you can use the word universe, meaning one verse, for multiverse purpose, nope, that's where you lose them. They're not that intelligent of a creature to logistically and logically and strategically carry it forward past like 3 feet. I mean, it's like painful, especially in this version of New York, with the amount of brainwave and radio wave interference just seepage through the wall, the electronic seepage from the wires and from what they've been able to assess through consumer markets and international espionage chain of commands and so on and so forth. It's disgusting.
arguments, I don't think there's
Among the good people.
Yeah, there's not
among
many
the
of
people who
those.
agree with us. There's consensus.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
But that's not really the main reason that people think about the multiverse.
Then I'm going to, he is important, but then there's this gentleman.
Some compelling reason to go there, and especially it seems to me that we
I don't know names of these people, by the way. There's nothing on the bottom, so I would have no idea who any of these people are.
We see thousands of black holes forming. What happened in the center is a problem of quantum gravity, which has nothing to do with multi-universe.
Sure.
We see our own Big Bang, and something quantum has happened.
Multi-universe is usually like quasi-quark for us quirky individuals that are like cryptic animals trying to decrypt the humans around us. We use multiverse normally for political, that they're trying to be more, they're trying to take something sacred and exchange it somewhere in the chain of command for a political purpose, for then financial gain, and for hurting our main function here on the planet. And that would ergo be climate change at the moment and reversing the damage that has already been done. And when he talks about multiple black holes, that would be where electronic and zodiac and astronomical cosmological weight of certain anatomical reemergence of visual has a higher weighted value, and some were characterized prehistorically, before their bodies entered this human century arena system, they were hypothetically built elsewhere before they arrived and watched over the world before they arrived. And I call that arrival, like flipping over the handlebars to make it a dramatic entrance, and a very set between when they were something else and then when they became this.
Happened there. I don't see a direct use of the notion of multi-universe so far, and I don't see any nearby possibility of measuring effect of multi-universe. So if some courageous mind, soul want to explore it is fine, but I think it's a bit premature.
Well, I don't think that should stop us. Multiple universes seem such a fundamental part of the structure of reality. If we're
No,
the
only this reality that is
there's an infinite
broken.
number of universes. Well, that
And
means
this
either
is
way,
what is a very
just,
big problem, and I have no
it's just
patience for.
terrifying.
I believe
Observe that could suggest other universes. Where am I on the multiverse? I say it again. What a way for reality to be. Closer to truth.
Just philosophy. That's it. Means absolutely nothing in the grand schematic of things. But when you apply the wrong
For complete
philosophy,
interviews and for further information.
says closer to truth. When you apply one philosophy that works in a specific universe within a multiverse conversation, and that one philosophy works or doesn't work. What gets scary and dangerous is when that philosophy travels to make arguments fit for people, sequence, and events that it was never designed for. Each philosophy is designed for a specific electronic weight and for a specific purpose for which it was originally used and intended. If it breaks and starts traveling, that's where you come into really and when it hits densely populated mental process, that's where the exponential, if there's not handicaps in place, it goes exponentially the wrong way, and it takes so much effort in order to scale it back to where it needed to be for safety of the herd, for safety of the here, for safety of the here and now. I mean, again, the words even in English get very convoluted and perturbed and disturbing the more they're allowed to go, for lack of a better term, create legs of their own and see where they go. That is like one of the most dangerous operatives in the field. Star 1978, star 8378, Nicole, Cattaruzza. Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361. It's Earth, solar system, Milky Way, universe, and the galaxy at this point for me is broken. My electronic weight distribution is off. I have electronic seepage through the wiring and through the walls, through radio frequency, through different corporate channels, money channels, family channels, the army. I mean, like, here's the thing. Ready for this? If you speak a different language, this is your navel, this is your arm, this is your leg. So what comes first? Legislation, your arm and brute strength, or your navel? Because your navel seems to be somewhere in the middle. That's a militarized restructuring of an argument. Someone I love taught me that long time ago before this reality opened up and I got trapped in it.